Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to Ask Eman. I'm your host, Ahtisham. I just want to tell you that we are live on the Facebook page and the YouTube channel, so please do tune in, leave your comments and your questions below, and we'll be answering them shortly. I just want to introduce our esteemed guest, Sheikh, Shaqur Rehman. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair for coming. Really do appreciate it, Sheikh. Sheikh, I wanted to start with a question. How do we engage those people that have doubts in Islam? And their doubts specifically relate to the question of feminism and the recent movements that have been going on.
Okay. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah ma ba'd. This is a very good question that is posed many a time. Now, whenever you're dealing with someone who disbelieves in Islam in the first place, rejects Islam. Now, there's no point in talking about the detailed fiqhi issues. Why is there difference between men and women, and why is there segregation, and why is there hijab? There's no point. The fundamental is not there for this person. Okay, what is the fundamental? The fundamental is you are a slave and you have a lord, a majestic Lord who is perfect in every way, who is all-knowing, all-powerful, majestic, perfect. Right? Without understanding who Allah is, without understanding His majesty, there's no way that this insan is ever going to accept any of the laws. Okay? Because if you don't realize you're the abd, you're the slave, you're the weak, you're insignificant, you're never going to accept submission to this super being, because you don't believe in the super being. Allah, the majestic, the perfect in every way. Once a person accepts the majesty of Allah, he automatically accepts the authority of Allah. Before you go down this line of understanding the authority of Allah because of His majesty, you're going to weigh up every single law of Islam based upon your personal yardstick, your personal measure of what is good and what is bad. And that will be measuring up Islam to whatever ideology, whatever you follow. So the current global ideology, which is muscular liberalism, you'll weigh up to that. If it doesn't match that, then you're going to view it as bad. Yet, when we look at the whole global movement right now, and the result of it, the consequences of it, the breakup of the family, the breakup of society, children growing up, vandalizing everyone's property, causing misery all over the world because of the breakdown of the family, which caused the breakdown of the whole of society. You look at that and you understand the trajectory of the global ideology is going to only lead to more misery and more suffering. Okay, but not many people look at it like that. They look at, right, I get these rights, why should I accept less than these rights? And that's what Islam offers me from their perspective. Okay, why do I have to conform to these rules and regulations when right now I have the freedom to do supposedly whatever I want, which is false notion anyway. Okay, so if you don't understand that Allah is all-knowing, He is the majesty, He knows everything, He knows what is good and bad, and you, insignificant insan, do not have the capacity to regulate your own self, let alone regulate society and people, the human race, in totality. If you don't accept that, you're never going to accept any of the rules of Islam. And that is exactly what the Prophet ﷺ did. When Aisha says, when she's asked about the revelation, what came first? It was attaching people to the majesty of Allah, the surah that talk about Jannah, Nar, the unseen, and he's talking about Allah, connecting them with Allah. Once that connection was there, then the ahkam started to come. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. We have a question from Brother Ali. He says, what is the best way to advise my friend that has done a major sin? How do you approach such a person?
Okay, approaching a person, yani, what he mentioned there, he's my friend, which is key. You can't approach someone that you don't know. First you have to get to know them. You have to have a position in their heart to be able to advise.
Absolutely.
So that's good. He said, it's my friend. Right, so you've got the opportunity, the door's open for you to advise, because especially as young people, who are young people interested in listening to? They're not interested in listening to the imam. They're not interested in listening to their parents, unfortunately. They're not interested in listening to any Joe blogs on the street, but they are interested in what their friends think about them. So any one of us who's in this position, you have a friend who's done something wrong, you have a greater duty to enjoin the good and forbid the evil on them than anyone else in the world. Okay? Because they're your friend. And that is part of being a good friend. When the Prophet ﷺ, he said, ad-dinu nasiha, and the religion is this giving good advice, sincere advice to people. That's you in that situation. So the first thing is, what does Allah say about it? Okay, this thing, you need to make sure that your friend understands this is wrong. If you can explain why it's wrong, not just, oh, it's haram, okay, but the consequences. Look, what's this going to do for your akhirah? This world is only a few minutes, really. When we die, and every one of us will die, okay, you're going to look back at your whole life as the blinking of an eye. A day or part of a day, that's what it's going to seem like. Those of us, however old we are, you look at every moment in your history that has passed, and you look at it from now, from where you are, it's like a blinking of an eye. Just yesterday I was there, and now I'm here. 40, 50, 60 years, it's like a blinking of an eye. Yawm al-Qiyamah, it's going to be less than that. You're going to view it as even less. So that reminder needs to happen. You're going to go to Allah. That's your destination. Finished. Okay. Are you willing to sacrifice what the Prophet ﷺ described? The whole world and everything in it is only but. If I took this water and I put my finger in it, I won't because I'm going to drink it. Yeah. I put it there, and then I let the water drop off. Okay. What's left on my finger?
Nothing.
Hardly anything. Just a film of water, that moisture. The Prophet ﷺ said, that's the dunya and everything in it. And the sea in front of you, which looks like it never ends, that is your akhirah. That is the akhirah. Now, who's going to sell that sea for this moisture on the finger?
Bad decision.
Yeah. Only an ignorant person would do that. Do you want to be like that? Understand the reality. So bring the focus into your friend that this is not your real life. This is a temporary enjoyment. Now, turn back to Allah. You did wrong. Acknowledge that you did wrong. All you have to do now is say sorry to Allah. Say sorry to Allah with sincerity, and Allah will forgive you. And then just correct your ways. It's not very difficult. It's easy. If you took someone's right, give it back to them. But if it's a sin between you and Allah, then just say sorry to Allah, make istighfar, and keep making istighfar, and do good deeds, because the Prophet ﷺ said, أَتْبِئِ السَّيِّئَةَ الْحَسَنَةَ تَمْحُهَا. And follow up a bad deed with a good deed, it'll wipe it out. So, give him the reminder to put life in perspective. Take him away from focusing on fleeting pleasures that cause us harm in this world and the next, and refocus the life of your friend on what really matters, and never close the door of hope to such a person.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. With that, tying into maybe some of the people that feel that they have an obligation to advise and enjoin the good and forbid the evil on social media, what are some of the etiquettes then? You said this person's a friend, he's got a door open. Do we have a door open maybe to some of our followers or friends on Facebook or followers on TikTok and Instagram and so on and so forth?
Okay, this kind of open writing for the public, etc. If you're going to write about someone who's done something wrong, okay, then you need to be very careful, because if they did this wrong publicly, okay, are you the right person to talk about it? Right? You can talk about actions in general, what Allah has spoken about, halal and haram. But when you start speaking about people and attacking people, now this is very problematic, because the Prophet ﷺ told us that, what is backbiting and slander? Okay, the backbiting is simply saying about your brother that which yakrah, that which he doesn't like, that which upsets him. And slander is when it's not true and it's a lie. Okay, so do you really want to put yourself in that position, Yawm al-Qiyamah, that guy or that girl or whoever it is comes and takes your hasanat, when that is the currency of the day? You really want to put yourself in that position? Or if you don't have any hasanat, they will throw their bad deeds on you? Bad idea.
SubhanAllah. Jazakallah khair for that clarification, Sheikh. Brothers and sisters, we are going for a very short break. We'll see you on the other side. Just a reminder, we are live on the YouTube channel and the Facebook page, so please do tune in, leave your questions. We've got a few questions already from the YouTube, so we'll get to them shortly after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome back to Ask Eman. I'm your host, Ahtisham. And just before the break, I introduced you to our esteemed guest, our Sheikh, Sheikh Shaqur Rehman. And just want to remind you that you can call in to the studio on 0203 515 0757. We are live on the YouTube channel and the Facebook page. So please do leave your questions. We have a few questions. But firstly, we do have a call on the line. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Riyaz.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you, sister? Are you okay?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. What's your question?
My question is, what happens if you accidentally drop the Quran on the floor?
Okay, inshallah. You have that, Sheikh?
Yep.
Yeah. Jazakallah khair. Do we have any more callers? No problem, inshallah. Sheikh, we'll just go with that one, inshallah, for now.
Okay. So our young brother who called, he's asking if you drop the Quran, what should you do? Now, culturally, you'll see Muslims in general, wherever they're from, by nature we know, oh no, this is wrong. The Quran can't be on the floor.
Yeah.
This is not a normal book. This has to be respected. And now it's on the floor. So immediately, the first thing you need to do is pick it up. Yeah. You can't leave it there. So you need to quickly pick it up. So that's an automatic reaction. I think every one of us has that automatic reaction by our innate nature because of our ta'zeem or veneration for the Book of Allah. So that's the mandatory thing for you to do. Take it from a position of disrespect to a position of respect. So when we were learning Quran, for instance, when our teachers used to teach us and make sure that when we carry the Quran, we would carry it like this. Okay, you wouldn't be able to carry it in any other way. And that, remember, when you're teaching children, it's not about just telling them that this is the greatest book in the world. This is not a normal book. It's not from a person. No, teach them practically how to show veneration to the Quran. Okay, the veneration has to be shown in all of its different forms. So here we're talking about, right, the Quran fell. You'll find some people, because the veneration to the Quran, it dropped, I did something wrong, they will automatically say with it, astaghfirullah, and pick it up. Okay? Or they will say some words of dhikr, trying to, even though it's not a sin because they accidentally did it. Okay? But they feel bad about what happened, and in their hands it happened. Okay, so therefore, saying something is good. Okay, but not saying that it's a sin. You didn't do anything. It happened. Yeah. Pick it up immediately. Say some words of remembering Allah. Okay, astaghfirullah, 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 la ilaha illallah, something like that. And then maybe you find some people, they kiss the Quran. Okay, because their love for it, I did something, they feel I did something wrong, they kiss it. Not something mandatory, but khalas, if a person wants to do it out of their respect to the Quran, khalas, they do it. But the main thing that you need to do if you drop the Quran, pick it up. Take it from the position of disrespect to a position of respect. But it shouldn't be that we're so concerned about something like this happens, yet we neglect the Quran in its recitation, in trying to understand it, in trying to learn the language of the Quran, in trying to ponder over the Quran, and in implementing the injunctions or what the Quran tells us to do and stay away from. Okay? Because all of that is part of respecting the Quran. Absolutely. So it can't be that we're very, very concerned if the Quran falls, but we're not concerned that the Quran is not implemented or understood or memorized or read. That just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't show its veneration.
Yeah, because venerating the Quran means in all of the different aspects.
Absolutely. Just to kind of cover it, so we have covered it. What about the action of kissing the Quran, just to kind of show that extra veneration that happens?
Yeah, some people do it. Some people do it. Okay, fine. If you want to kiss the Quran out of veneration for the Quran, okay.
Yeah, sure.
But it's not something that you have to do, or you should do or anything like that. It's not like that. Yani, we need to get away from just the mere action trying to show veneration and just ritualistic stuff, which it might be this cultural ritualistic stuff as well. Yeah, because you wouldn't say for the action itself being sanctioned that you should kiss the Quran. Okay, you wouldn't say that. But if a person did it out of love for the Quran, out of veneration of the Quran, maybe Allah will reward them. Okay, but we need to not limit our veneration to the Quran to things like this. And it has to be for what the Quran was sent for, because the Quran wasn't sent for to just admire. The Quran was sent as a guidance to mankind. So the greatest veneration of the Quran is to adopt its guidance. Anything short of that is not enough.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. We have a question from Brother Zahid. He says, are we allowed to extend a boxing event? And I'm going to go / MMA event.
Attend. Yani, attend an event. Let's say attend an event. When should you attend an event and when should you not attend an event? Okay, let's make it bigger than that.
Yeah.
Okay. Islamically, you attend events that are in line with Islamic ethos, and therefore they are beneficial. That's when you attend an event. You don't attend events that are against Islamic commandments or the Islamic ethos and there's haram taking place, etc. You don't attend those events. Okay. So that's what we should be thinking about. And the other aspect of it is time is precious. Time is precious. Yani, the Muslims with the Prophet ﷺ understood this. Yani, when Allah said, Wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr. Okay, by time, man is in loss. Human beings are in loss. Your whole life is a loss unless إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Okay, unless you have these four characteristics. You believe in Allah, you have that firm conviction in Allah. You follow that up with righteous deeds. You enjoin the truth and you forbid the evil. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. You have resilience and you persevere upon that. Okay, you tell me, does watching this event, turning up to this event, fall under these four categories? You decide for yourselves. Okay? Is it increasing your conviction in Allah? Is it a righteous deed that Allah will love? Is it part of enjoining the good and forbidding the evil? Is it part of resilience and building perseverance and being a person who is strong with their faith? Is it? If you think it is, then khalas, maybe Allah will reward you for it, if you think it is. And on the other hand, look, are there haram things taking place during the event? A person being smashed, smashed to pieces. Smashed to pieces. Come on. Is that what Allah wants? Right. So you can go into that. Is there haram taking place? These types of events. Is there alcohol being served? Is there gambling taking place at the event? Are people interacting with each other, the opposite genders, in un-Islamic ways? Is that being promoted? The words that are being used? Is there remembrance of Allah? All of these different things. You decide. Mm-hmm. If these things, these anti-Islamic things happen, mm-hmm. then how can you be attending that? It's against the ethos of the Muslim character. Muslims are not meant to be chasing after entertainment and having fun. This was never the way of the believers. Okay, you have to have some fun, because human beings can't be serious 100% of the time. But that should be the exceptions in our lives. Because really, there's too much work to do. How many times have you heard wives complaining, I never get time with my husband. Right, my husband doesn't spend any time with the kids. And likewise, the opposite as well. So, there's too much to do in life.
SubhanAllah. So true, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair. We do have a sister on the line. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum salam.
Okay,
Sister, what's your question?
I got a question, it's about the garlic and ginger, because I have to soak them at night. As soon as I get up, I have to drink them before my, about 2 hours before my breakfast, So I need to do. Can I read my salah or tahajjud or anything like, because I read my tahajjud. As soon as before my tahajjud, I drink, to take my garlic, Am I allowed to do that or not?
Okay, sure. Sheikh, the sister's asking, she has to take some garlic, I'm assuming for some medicinal purposes. And she's talking about if that is allowed to perform her prayers like such. I'm assuming she's correlating with the hadith, but we are going for a short break in literally about 30 seconds.
I think we need time to answer it. So let's come back to it properly.
Inshallah.
Right. Let's come back to it properly after the break, inshallah.
No problem. Sister, we'll just answer your questions shortly after this break. Brothers and sisters, we are going for a little break. Please do tune into the Facebook channel and the YouTube page where we are live. Do leave your questions there. We are getting through them as much as possible. And we'll see you shortly on the other side of this. And I have been your host, Ahtisham. We'll see you next time, shortly after this break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome back. We had a sister who had a question regarding garlic and salah. So over to you, Sheikh.
Okay, she was talking about having garlic and then praying salah. And she mentioned tahajjud as well. There was maghrib and tahajjud.
So
both.
she has to have it before her breakfast, about 2 hours before her breakfast.
Yeah.
But she's mentioning that before the time for suhoor, for example, or fajr,
Yeah.
she's having it, but then she prays qiyam. So
okay.
does it affect her salah kind of thing? Is
Okay,
it
good.
permissible
Right.
for her to do
So
that?
now it's clear. Okay. So, you know, when we pray, the Prophet ﷺ in various different ahadith talked about going to a congregation in salah, and you shouldn't go to a congregational salah when you've eaten something like garlic or onions or something like that. Yeah, because bad breath, it harms the angels and it harms the people. Okay, so that's something that raw garlic and raw onions and something with a strong foul smell like that you shouldn't have when you're going to the congregation. And we don't need to explain why not, because no one likes to smell bad breath, let alone onion breath and garlic breath.
Reminds me of Ramadan.
No, alhamdulillah, depends in the masjid you pray. Right, so you have these issues, yeah? So now, the sister's praying at home. Okay, the sister's praying at home, so that doesn't apply. Now, what does apply though is the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, and the sisters, I'm sure they like this example, yeah? Sisters, would you like to be kissed by an angel? Okay.
Sure
brothers, would you like to be kissed by an angel? Yeah, you can each think about it in your own way. Of course you would. Right now, the Prophet ﷺ, in the hadith of Ali radiallahu ta'ala an, he says, if a person gets up at night, brushes their teeth, yeah, uses their siwak or brushes their teeth, yeah, and they made their wudu and they brushed their teeth and they got up and they started praying, the angel will come and yada' fahu ala fihi. Yeah, the angel will put his mouth on the mouth of the person praying so that he can capture every single letter of Quran he reads. Okay? So if a person doesn't clean his mouth and has a foul smell coming out of his mouth, then the angel's not going to do that. Okay? The angel's not going to do that. But the sister, she could drink the drink, brush her teeth, yeah, brush her teeth, clean it out so it's smelling nice.
Chewing gum?
Yeah, maybe chewing gum, whatever, yeah, mouthwash, whatever. Get rid of the foul smell, okay, and then start to pray. And inshallah, she has the reward. She has the reward, and the angel will be there catching every letter from her, and may Allah accept it from her and every single believer who does the same.
Ameen. We have a question from YouTube, Brother Ja'far. He says, can you please explain how compound interest in investment accounts is haram?
Okay. So compound interest, from what I know, is basically a special type of account. You're putting money in and they say they invest it and then they're giving you money back. That's what they say. Now, normal riba. What is riba and why is it haram? Now, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you're dealing with the money, it should be yadan biyad, mithlan bimithl. So you do it on the spot if you're trading money on the spot and the same quantity. Okay? So if I've got £5 here, I give him £5, he has to give me the equivalent back. Okay? That's the same quantity. And that transaction should be hand on hand. If I'm trading something like gold and silver, say if I give him £5 and he's giving me the equivalent in euros, has to be now. Okay? If I give him £5 for a week, he has to give me £5 back. Only £5, nothing more. Okay, so if, however, we start messing around with this, so I give him £5 and I take £10 back off him in a week's time, that's riba. Okay? If, in this example, compound interest, I put in the bank £100. They say they're going to invest it and blah, 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 and then they're going to give me £110 back. And then if I leave it in there, it's going to be 105% of that 110 now. And then whatever that equals, then 105% of that, and keeps going up. Okay, what does that mean? They're guaranteeing me more money than I gave them as long as I put that money in for them. There's no opportunity of me getting less. I will only get more. They're guaranteeing me more money than I put in. Right, this is just like the basic example. If I gave him £5 and I take £10 off him. Money for money, where they're giving you more back, or you're giving more than you took from them, it's all riba. Now, why is it that this is haram in the first place? This is the current global economic system built upon riba. And this actually came into play in the Industrial Revolution. Just give me 1 minute.
No problem. It's an important point to focus on, brothers and sisters, because riba is consumed by everyone, even in ways which we may not be aware of. You know, we're, subhanAllah, in the banks, our money, whether we like it or not, is just sitting there and is being consumed and used for it, even though we may opt out for the little pennies. But back to you, Sheikh, something to be considerate about.
So, yani, Industrial Revolution time, how was the Industrial Revolution sponsored? It was sponsored through riba. Okay, people who had money were backing the Industrial Revolution because they couldn't lose. All they were doing, they were sitting around, they had money, they would lend it out, and they would charge interest, so they're always making money. They're not doing anything. So they were always making money. They couldn't lose. So they put money into that, and they backed it. Okay. And if you look at everything in the universe, you can't make something grow without doing anything. Okay, this is the principle in the universe. Riba is against Allah's principle that He set for the universe.
Wow.
Okay, what is it? It's the rich man sitting there. Here's £10. Now you have to give me £20 back. He sits comfortably doing nothing, and his money keeps growing. That is against the universal principle that Allah has set. So it's in violation of Allah's law for the universe. Right? It's in direct challenge of what Allah wants for us. Allah wants us to work and produce and do things, not just sit back and relax and just get. Okay? So that's why riba is so hated by Allah, such that He said, whoever gets involved in riba, فَأَذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ. Be warned, you're going to be in a battle with Allah. And that is the reason why the world is facing misery right now, because, not because we have a lack of resources and lack of wealth, it's because the way we're doing wealth is only going to cause us grief and misery. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, if we turn to other than Allah's law, then He's going to fill us with poverty. And that's what we're seeing.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. We do have a caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum, dear brother.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, brother. What's your question for the Sheikh?
Sorry, it's related to this, to the question that you just answered now.
Yep.
It's that I want to buy a car from a trader, and he's saying that it's 0% finance, but he's going to add his profit on to the lump sum. So does that make it halal or haram?
Okay, no problem.
Thank
We'll
you.
ask that to the Sheikh. Sheikh, we have
Thank you.
about 2 minutes for the answer on this one.
Okay, now, if you're dealing directly with a person, say if Ahtisham, for instance, he wants to sell his car, and he says to me, you know what, I'll sell you this car, but I want you to pay, instead of the market value of £3,000, I want you to pay £3,500. And I'll allow you to pay for it over installments for 2 years. Yeah, there will be nothing wrong with that. Now, if he says, you know what, you have to do this, and the lump sum is going to be 3,500, but you have to go through this other company. You have to go through this other company who's basically, what they're going to do is they're going to pay the money to Ahtisham, and I'm going to be paying them back. Okay? I'm going to be paying them back. This is riba. Okay? They've given me a loan, and I'm paying them more. Simple as that. Okay? Or there's, they're not going to do it for free like that. And there's like a loan hidden here, and that object is not really what the thing is about. They've given me money, although it didn't come to my hand, they've given it to him. They've given him money. So really, I've been given money for what? For money. I've been given money for money. And that has to be on the spot, the same amount. And it's not going to be like that.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Hopefully, brother, that clears it up for you, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, we are going for a short break. Please do join us on the very last segment just after this, inshallah. Please do follow up with your questions on the YouTube and the Facebook page. We'll see you soon. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Sheikh, we do have a question. We'll get straight into it. Sister Habiba asks, can we use cannabis for medicinal purposes? And I'm going to go stroke CBD.
Okay. First and foremost, we know that the Sharia has made every single intoxicant haram for us. Okay. So, unfortunately, when we look at our youth right now, you find more Muslim youth who are trying alcohol, drugs, and all of these things more right now than any other time. And even we get people, unfortunately, having marital problems because their spouse, normally the husband, has fallen into these major sins here. Substance abuse. And then everything else comes from it. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the khamr or intoxicants, miftahu kulli shar. They are the key to every evil. Right, so we need to understand, Islam didn't make something prohibited and haram except because it has detriment to human beings, both in this world and the next. So it's not just like a random thing. Allah doesn't want you to live like that or like, no, this is bad. It is detrimental to you and society. You look, how much money do we spend, the taxpayer, to clean up the mess of substance abuse? Every Friday night, Saturday night, how much money is being pumped into all of the different institutions that have to clean up the mess from alcohol and substance abuse in general? You've got the police service, the fire service, ambulance service. You've got the whole of the NHS. Then you've got the people's property that is damaged. The cleaning that has to go on. So much money being wasted because of this type of problem. Okay, so that we need to understand. Now, cannabis, right? And cannabis, they call it the recreational drug, the recreational drug. And you see a lot of people, and you can smell it in all of our different areas. Okay, you walk past people nowadays and you can smell it. People are using it. Okay, this kind of use that gives them a buzz, and it makes them lose their senses. Why are they doing it? They want to escape the misery of their normal lives. That's why they're doing it. So what we should be thinking about is, how do we remove misery from people's lives? So they wouldn't have to find an escape and get to these drugs. Because people can't handle the pressure of life and deal with life situations, they run to these things. It's escapism. And some people have their escapism through TV and movies. Some people have their escapism through music and other things. Some people have this big haram instead of smaller harams. They have it in drugs. And then when they go into one drug, it leads to the next drug, to the next drug, the next drug. It's a...
I agree.
It's a slippery slope. Okay. So that's with the things and taking them in a way that intoxicates you. Now, CBD oil, okay, and rubbing it onto a part of your body, unless this can intoxicate you, and I have no knowledge that rubbing some oil on your joints will intoxicate you, then that's not going to be haram like that. But taking a drug which can then make you high and make you intoxicated, then clearly that wouldn't be allowed. That would be haram. And then, if a person's doing this, we need to understand there's other problems that they're facing. They may need psychiatric help. They may need help from doctors. They may need help from professionals to see what the underlying problems are. Okay? Yes, these things are not allowed, taking drugs. But deal with the underlying issues as well. Why are they feeling that they need to escape from the reality of life? There's a missing connection with Allah. They can't deal with it. They can't deal with life.
SubhanAllah. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. We have a question from YouTube, Brother Telpen. He asks, if one works in a store and a non-mahram woman comes in and he's alone, is that khalwa? And what breaks it? How can I get out of this situation?
Get her to buy something and leave the shop quickly. Alas, yani.
Alhamdulillah.
Right, in a shop, okay,
He's a
the
shopkeeper.
door's open. He's a shopkeeper. Yani, and then he's got CCTV everywhere. Okay, he's got CCTV everywhere because you have to, otherwise, yani, people are going to shoplift and take everything.
Yeah.
Doors open, people are walking in and out all the time. Okay. Is this considered khalwa?
Yeah.
Is it really? Okay, right. That's yani, very unlikely. This is khalwa. Yani, people are coming in and out of the shop all the time. Yani, the brother, rather than think about, oh, is this sinful or not, should be thinking, you know what? When I deal with my customer, I deal with them in a professional way, and they go about their business, they do their thing, and they're gone. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's more important. And that's your Islamic duty. Now, khalwa, how are you going to get out of this? How are you going to get out of this? Sometimes there's going to be one person in the shop, two people, and
Yeah.
three people. Does that mean you're going to shut up their business and you can't work at that? Come on. Realistic. It's not realistic, is it?
No.
Okay, so very unlikely, because anyone can come in at any time and you're being recorded. Yeah. You know Allah's watching you, but when we know the cameras are watching us, we're better behaved than when we know Allah's watching us. Okay, so plus, yani, Allah's watching you. Now you've got the people watching you because you're being taped on CCTV as well. So you're more likely to behave properly, isn't it?
Yeah.
So inshallah, yani, to look at the whole issue like that.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. We have a question from YouTube. Says, I need advice to keep myself positive, optimistic, and to maintain a good relationship with Allah for myself and others. Sometimes I pray, I feel good, but sometimes I pray and I feel very empty.
Okay. Yani, these thoughts that are bringing you down and making you miserable, you should understand these are from Allah. They're from shaitan. They're not from Allah. Okay, astaghfirullah. Right. It's late. I haven't been home since the morning. Right. So understand that this is the objective of shaitan, to make you think things which bring you down and make you miserable and sad and depressed. So whenever you get these feelings, read يعني قل أعوذ برب الفلق and قل أعوذ برب الناس, especially قل أعوذ برب الناس. Okay, why? Because قل أعوذ برب الناس is the surah that asks, we're asking Allah to protect us from the whispers of shaitan. Understand that these negative thoughts and feelings are from shaitan, and go and do something positive instead. Okay? Now, you could start feeling negative because, you committed a sin. Okay? If you have, readdress that. Make tawbah to Allah, follow up with good deeds, make a firm conviction that you're not going to go and do that sin again, and move on with life and do something productive. Don't sit around just thinking about the same thing. That's going to be detrimental. Go, move from where you are and go and do something productive and beneficial. Whether for your akhirah or whether for your dunya, something productive, go and do something. That'll take away the negativity and the kind of sad thoughts and depressing feeling that you're getting. The more, however, you sit there and think about it and try to analyze it from this angle and that angle, the worse it's going to get.
So sometimes we just overanalyze something, and that kind of leads to that kind of situation, does it?
Yeah, and remember, shaitan whispers to you all the time. And what was the advice of the Prophet ﷺ when these whispers come to you? He said, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ وَلْيَنْتَهِ. Seek Allah's protection. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Yeah, and stop thinking about it. Stop those negative thoughts. But some people have a great difficulty in stopping the thought.
Hold on it,
Yeah. So a way you can help yourself is go and do something that requires you to engage with it physically and mentally. Then you don't have time to think about that stuff that's going to depress you. Okay? Go and speak to a friend. Go and speak to someone who's suffering more than you. Go and do something where you have to get your mind and body engaged in something. And you find that these negative thoughts that are depressing a person, they're the least likely to get up and go and do something. So fight it with that response. Do something that engages you mentally and physically so you can't waste your time thinking about negative things.
Beautiful. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. We have a question from YouTube, Brother Atid. He asks, can a person with urinal incontinence perform ruqya on their private parts?
Okay, yani, perform ruqya on your complete body. No problem. Okay, he's probably thinking about, it seems wrong, put your hand, in ruqya, you put your hand somewhere and then you read. Okay, he's probably thinking, can I put my hand on my private part and read? Doesn't seem right. Okay, so just, you can read on water, you can drink it. You can read over yourself. The Prophet used to read over himself and wipe over everything he could reach. Something like that.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Brothers and sisters, we are at the end of the show. Jazakallah khair to our dear Sheikh, who's been out since early morning. May Allah give him good rest, allow him to have some good food at home, inshallah. Sheikh, Jazakallah khair for joining us and answering everyone's questions. Brothers and sisters, that's it for today's show. We will see you next time on Ask Eman. I've been your host, Ahtisham. Please do remember that we are usually live on the Facebook channel and the YouTube page. So please do leave your questions there and we'll get to them, inshallah. So we'll see you next time. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.